Hamadakyapi, Nick Tilsen and Machapi. First want to say and say thank you to all my relatives for coming out here today. For our relatives from Wambliska and everybody else from the community here, from NDN Collective and all the different handlers, the American Indian movement, all the things that all of us that as Indian people that we're a part of in this community. And the reason we wanted to have this press conference is it was 1 year ago tomorrow in which we made a stand in the Khaisapa. We made a stand against the President of the United States for coming into our territory and to make a stand for protecting our land and protecting our rights as Lakota people. And for doing so, we've been persecuted for it. For doing so, for standing up for our people, we've been persecuted for it. And before I stand before you here today, and I'm facing 17 years in prison for the stand that we took up there. And our whole community had a public outcry for what happened. And we backed the prosecutor into a corner. Then the prosecutor came to us with a deal. And in that deal, I agreed to the deal to do the diversion program. And in that diversion program, all of the pre-trial diversion program, all of the charges would be dropped. And we came up with that deal. And in that deal, I said that I want the charges dropped for all of the land defenders. And if I were to do this deal, and I would do community service, I would help out Wambliska, I'd help do things in the community as part of that. It was a way to resolve the issue and for us to move on. And so I agreed to those things. And the thing that set that off was that you have to meet with the diversion staff. And I did that. I actually went in there in this building right across the way, and I met with Marty Krause and Allison Morissette, and we came up with a good plan. We came up with a good plan that was going to be in this diversion program. And after I left there, and that meeting was positive. Those of you who know those two, we came up with a good plan, and that's what I thought we were going to do. Right after I got out of the meeting, I actually called Wambliska and said, "Hey, I'm going to be able to do some work with you through this program." And then I went to the media and I expressed my feelings about what it felt like to be persecuted. And within 24 hours, Vargo sent an email basically threatening me and said that if I don't do a public apology on camera to every single law enforcement officer from the 4th of July, that the deal was off. That if I don't do a personal video that would air at the time of this diversion program, that the deal would be off. That if I don't do a handwritten letter to Sheriff Tome, that the deal would be off. None of the things that were part of the diversion program, none of the things that were part of the original agreement that he agreed to, that he brought to us. Yet after that happened, I extended my hand still and said, let's meet. Let's resolve this matter. And up until 2 days ago, I heard nothing. I heard nothing from the prosecutor's office. Nothing from the prosecutor's office. And meanwhile, I didn't even wait. I started working with Wambliska. I started helping out where I could. Started doing a few things. Started coaching things. Because I suspected that that the prosecutor was gonna fulfill his responsibilities. Well, he didn't. And now the prosecutor unilaterally made the decision that diversion wasn't working, and that they wanted to set another date for a trial. Backing out of all of the decisions, all of the things that happened. And so I got with my lawyers and I said, I'm tired of this. Every Native person is tired of this. Everybody in our community has a story like this. And I said, well, what can we do? And so this afternoon, within the past hour, we filed 3 motions to dismiss. One of those motions to dismiss is based on prosecutorial misconduct by Vargo and the Pennington County Prosecutor's Office. The other one is a constitutional violation, 2 of them. A constitutional violation to a right to a speedy trial. It will be almost a year since I was incarcerated, and I have not seen a day in court. I have not actually went to trial here in this community. The third one has to do with constitutional violations as it relates to my First Amendment rights. That this entire prosecution has been motivated to limit my First Amendment rights, to limit the First Amendment rights of Native people in this community when we speak out. And that the prosecutor has abused their position of power and privilege to try to silence myself and try to silence others. These are all grounds for dismissal. This document was created by two former U.S. attorneys, Tim Purdon, who was a U.S. attorney from North Dakota, and Brendan Johnson, who was a former U.S. attorney from South Dakota. Went through this, and including Tim Billion and Bruce Ellison. And as we were combing through this, we found several violations that were not only constitutional violations, ethical violations. Ethical things that prosecutors shouldn't do. Prosecutors are not allowed to engage in vindictive prosecution. And here there's proof in this document. There's an email in these documents from Vargo that says himself that this was about silencing my voice, because nothing in the diversion meeting had anything to do with at all. And even in that diversion meeting, I asked Marty Krause, I asked the prosecutor's office, does me being in this diversion program by any which way and form say that I can't speak my voice? And they said, absolutely not. The diversion program is set forth to do this, this, and this. I agreed. And yet here we are, another lie made to our people by another white man in power. And we're tired of that. And so we bring this motion to dismiss. We ask the judge to actually look at the merits of this case, that this case has been a politically and racially motivated case to begin with, and that we're tired of this process. The courts have not done their system, have not done justice. The prosecutor has mismanaged the entire process. They have not wanted to actually resolve this matter, and it's been in their court. And yet we've extended our hand over and over and over. So we are asking for the dismissal of all charges. And everybody knows who watched the media, we had a deal. We actually had a deal. He might be sitting up there in office and saying we didn't have a deal. Well, why did he drop all the charges for all the land defenders? Why did I go meet with the diversion program? All those things were part of the deal. And this document uncovers all of that. And this is the kind of corruption, and this is the type of misconduct that is not good for the relationship between Indigenous people and the government and the white folks in our community. And the prosecutor and the prosecutor's office likes to talk about healing relationships. This behavior and these attacks on our people is what perpetuates violence in our community. Is what perpetuates hate in our community. And this is just my story. That whole jail, every one of us has stories in that jail of our relatives filled up with all stories like this. Lucky I had somebody to help me. Think about all the relatives in there who don't got nobody. Think of all the people who get overcharged and then get pled down to be sitting in there. We see what's happening in here. We see the prosecutor's office getting money on behalf of our people, resources on behalf of our people, saying they're trying to cut crime, trying to cut down the time that our people are spending in jails. But the actions speak louder than words, and we're used to this. So, we're here to say no more to this. And I want to say to all the brothers that are in prison in there, and the sisters and our relatives, that will continue to pray for you, to stand with you. And I know that everybody here will. And we have to remind folks that this is what happens to Indigenous people when you speak up. This is what happens to us. So we have to hang our head high. We can't put our head low. We got to hang our head high. We got to be proud of being Lakota, proud of being Indian, no matter what we're up against. And so we're going to keep fighting, because the movement that we're building has since last summer, continue to go global, because indigenous people everywhere across Turtle Island are tired of the racism and the oppression. And we understand that these entire systems are built on our lands. They're built on the graves of our ancestors, on our ancestors' blood. And we're saying no more. We don't want that no more. And so the land back movement that we're building, it's a war cry for the liberation of our people. And it's not just us raising our fist high. We're actively working to create change in our community, from building schools to creating jobs to doing healing work. This is not just about radicalism, but it's about using our radical beliefs to transform our future and build a new future for our children. And so these are what we're fighting for. And so we come here today, to share these few words. And I know that that my brother Hermes has some things that he wants to share at this time about a march and a rally that's taking place this weekend. And the last thing I would just like to say is that I want to say thank you to everybody that has stood by me through this struggle, and has stood by all the land defenders through this struggle. It's hard to keep moving forward when you're facing 17 years in prison for doing something you believe in. So I'm not going to go in there and say I did something wrong, because I didn't do nothing wrong. I stood up for my people, and I stood up for my land. And so I say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of the people who have supported me in this movement and all the land defenders since we started. And at this time, I want to ask my brother Hermes to come up here and share a few words. Go.
Next case is one of many cases our Lakota people and our indigenous people face here in just the city alone. It's not like that just here, it's like that everywhere. But it's really bad here, and it's getting worse. The law enforcement agencies here in this town demand respect. They try to bully our people. They try to push them around. Nick took a stand. Everyone here took a stand. Now everyone here is getting the backlash from the police department and all the law enforcement agencies, all the way up the chain. When are they gonna realize that it's time to stop? When are they gonna realize that they owe a lot of people a lot of apology? It goes from our unhoused relatives who are defenseless on the streets, get picked on, all the way up to people like my brother Nick taking a stand, a political stand. If you're indigenous in this town, it's not good. You're not safe. But yet the people that get millions to protect us are the ones who's bullying us, the ones who's pushing us. So this weekend on Sunday, July 4th, we're going to have a march and a rally. We're going to start at Haley Park down here, and we're going to march from there to the police department here. We're going to have a feed over here. We're going to have some speakers to speak out on the treatment that they receive from these people, from the people who are supposed to protect us. At some point, they got to give in and take their pride down and realize that they're part of the problem. They're a major part of the problem. We gave in. Nick gave in. He humbled himself. A lot of our people in there humbled themselves, but yet they still sit in that jail. So I'm calling out all the Alquichita, all the Tocalas, all you guys that call yourselves warriors, call yourselves men. All our Lakota people and our indigenous people, everyone, why it doesn't matter what color you are, come walk with us, come stand with us. Let's take a stand against this police department and the law enforcement agencies here. Let's show them that we're not going to take no more. show up on Sunday. Come stand with us
5:30.
at 5:30 on Sunday. We're gonna start at the Haley Park down there. I invite all of you, I challenge all of you to show up.
One more thing I wanted to say at this time too is there's people standing before us here that some of us have been threatened. Some of us have received phone calls. Some people have tried to discourage us. Some people have tried to smear us. Some people have tried to spread lies about us. Some people have tried to spark fear in us. But we ain't scared. This is our land. Our people, we've been living here for thousands of years. And there's no way that you're going to deter us from the thing that we're fighting for. There's no way that you're going to deter us from what we are fighting for. And we're not fearful. You people out there who are threatening us, you know who you are. We ain't scared of you because we're standing with our ancestors, and we know our ancestors are standing with us. So at this time, if we want to take any questions from the media, we can take those at this time about either my case or the events planned for this weekend.
So how will this impact the other land offenders who were charged?
It won't impact them because those charges have already been dropped.
Okay, so that's not going to resurface.
No, it won't resurface. They couldn't do it, or they can't do it because those have been dropped on their own accord. Actually, as part of the deal, but they haven't been brought back at all.
Was there something specific that happened when the initial plea deal was announced that they took exception to, that they cited as the reason for the position? And you'll read in these documents, it was immediately following the meeting, the diversion meeting. I talked to the media, and I expressed my feelings about this prosecution. And so his response had nothing to do with the diversion meeting or the content of that diversion meeting. That was about creating the deal. He didn't like what I said to the media. He didn't like the tone that I talked to the media. That's the whole thing that's crazy about this whole. He didn't like the way in which I communicated my message to the media. And that's what it's about. It's crazy. It's wild. And that is the specific thing that he talks about. So what has happened between then and now, between his office and your attorneys?
So what's happened is we drafted a letter in response, first he sent an email, and he created brand new demands in this email. It's an attachment to this motion. And in that email, it says all these different things that now he wants to add to the diversion program. And this is after the initial meeting. And anybody who's been through diversion knows that's not the way it works. So he adds all these things that he knows I'm not going to agree to. So then what happened is our lawyers then drafted a letter, which is an attachment to this, basically saying, you know that we're not going to agree to those things, but we're still willing to meet with you. We're still willing to meet with you to resolve this matter. And then no response. Zero response. We waited for 3 months for him to respond to that letter, and his only response came a few days ago when he said, when we received an email from his office saying, since diversion didn't work, we want to set a status hearing. Only communication that he's had with me or my lawyers.
And when is that hearing? Has that been set yet?
It hasn't been set because now there's a new set of issues to deal with. And so that motion hearing or that status hearing ain't going to happen. That status hearing is not going to happen until these other motions are dealt with. And these are huge. These are constitutional violations from the prosecutor's office. And so these things are going to have to go before a judge before we ever talk about a status hearing.
What does justice look like in this situation?
At the top of this page, it says dismiss. Dismiss the charges because they shouldn't have been charged in the first place. Not any one of these charges should have been charged in the first place, and they all need to be dismissed. In fact, that's why we work to get the charges dismissed for all the land defenders. So in this case, you know, the only way to have justice in this particular case is to dismiss all charges. Because if you don't, you're letting that prosecutor who says he's a friend of the Native community, who says he befriends us, who talks about healing, violate his own laws that he says he stands for. Violate his own laws. And if we don't stand up and get these charges dismissed, it means that they can continue doing that to all of us. Not just me, everybody in this community. And so that's the only way to achieve justice in this situation, is to dismiss those charges.
Do you have any regrets about anything that happened a year ago, that that it would have played out differently, perhaps maybe not blocking the road and just carrying on with the protest as was supposedly discussed prior to that date with law enforcement?
I don't have one regret about anything that happened on July 3rd last year. Our people came together, we stood on our land, that's our legal right to stand on, against a government who's violated their agreements against our people. I did nothing wrong, and neither did anybody there on that day.
Did you violate the agreement you had with law enforcement on what you guys agreed upon prior to the protest, though?
Absolutely not. They did, though. They were the ones who brought in the National Guard. They were the ones who enacted the violence. They broke their agreements with our people on that day, 100%.
Is there any concern for Sunday's demonstration?
Do I have any concern? Our people have been walking on this land for thousands of years. I don't have one concern about this, about what's going to go on Sunday.
Where is it taking place? I'm sorry.
It'll be taking place from Haley Park to right over here behind the jail. We're gonna have some speakers. Our people's not gonna walk with our heads down anymore.
Okay.
Our people don't need to walk with fear, and that's what's happening. We're gonna take a stand from here on out.
And to be clear, the reason why we're marching from Haley Park to the jail is because our target is the jail. Our target is the police. Our target is the system that's keeping our people in there. We don't have plans to march to Memorial Park. We're not against the white people in this community. And don't let the people out there tell you different. Anybody, white, black, Native, whoever you are, if you see or experience injustice in this community, come march with us. Come walk with us. And that's why we're walking straight from Haley Park down St. Joseph to the jail. We're not trying to disrupt what's going on down there. We're here specifically to raise awareness about this issue.
Is there a particular reason why you're starting at Haley Park, or is it just like
He just stated it. Just stay clear of everything to try to avoid any kind of conflict.
And
Try to keep everyone safe.
Okay, and that's at 5:30 p.m. then on Sunday? All right.
I have one more question. So with the land back movement that was announced last fall, is this putting any sort of pause on that? Is this a catalyst moving forward? What does that look like with that movement?
The land back movement is alive and well. I don't know if you're watching across the country, but there's a massive movement both on a policy level and on a community level to return stolen Indigenous lands back to Indigenous people. And the response to the land back movement has been incredible. We've had people offering to give their land, after giving money to buy land, government having conversations about returning lands, and also it's empowered the people. It's been a message that makes people feel empowered. And so I would say that I think that the land back movement is on fire and alive and well, not only in this community but all across this country, and it's international too. The land back movement is alive and well in so-called Canada and so-called Mexico and those places, and the Indigenous communities in those places. So I think that it continues to be a catalytic thing for Indigenous people.
I guess, beyond this case going forward, how are you planning on moving forward with the land back?
Yeah, but so both with land back, and some people, because of this case, media tends to talk about what they want to talk about. What they don't actually know is incredible things that NDN Collective is doing. Last year, throughout the nation, NDN Collective helped fund over 446 organizations, tribal organizations, including some of the ones right here in this community, and to support them in their self-determination. Over $13.8 million in grant making NDN Collective did last year. We're in the process of developing a school called the Osheti Shakoi Community Academy. We have a few businesses here in the community in which we're in the process of creating. We reclaimed some lands. Through the leadership of Hermes and Sonny and all of the folks from the Creek Patrol, NDN Collective collaborated with Creek Patrol to create Camp Mini Luzaha to help protect our unsheltered relatives. I mean, incredible things that are happening in this community that are just our people rolling their sleeves up to make a difference. And our intention is to continue to be able to do those things unencumbered from the law, unharassed by the law. And that's the goal that we continue to do here. Some of the work that we're continuing to do here in the community, and that's our goal moving forward. I think NDN Collective is an international organization dedicated to building Indigenous power, and we're headquartered right here in Rapid City, South Dakota, and we're not going anywhere.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep. Anything else? Good. Washtelo. Oh, let's all circle up, and then we'll just do an encouragement song.
Aim song.
Oh yeah. Yeah.